Absolutely. Let's go over cross. So, if you're new here, my name's Sandra. I love old books, and the insignificant cucks hate me because of it. This is my other account because what do you know? That one's on warning. Actually, both of my other ones where I have like 5,000 followers are on warning. So, this is another one. I'm going to be over here from now on for a little while to at least let those cool off because I don't want to lose that. So, this is my set of encyclopedias. This is the Chambers Encyclopedias printed in the 1890s. And if you click on the comment, go back and look. That's the other account I'm talking about. We had gone over swastika and it said see cross. So we're going to go ahead and go over that. If you love old books and just random stuff and conspiracies, which I wouldn't even call them conspiracies because at this point I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I'm a realist. But if you like that stuff, give me a follow, share this. Obviously, they do not like me. And this is one I kind of have a feeling about. So, cross. The cross was a common instrument of capital punishment among the ancients, and the death of the cross was esteemed so dishonorable that only slaves and malefactors of the lowest class were subjected to it by the Romans. Among the Carthaginians, and probably also among the Phoenicians and allied races, it was employed as an instrument of sacrifice to Baal. You don't say, almost like exactly like what I said. Thus, the Carthaginian general Malchus invested his son Cartolo in royal raiment with a crown on his head and crucified him to obtain a special favor from Baal. It has been suggested that there may be some allusion to these crucifixions to the Son in numerals 25:4, Joshua 8:29, and 10:26. Among the Gauls, as shall be noted later, a cross of equal arms was a solar symbol. It was customary among the Romans to proclaim the name and offense of the person crucified, or to affix a tablet, album to the cross on which they were inscribed. Malefactors were sometimes fastened on a simple upright stake and so left to die, or they were impaled upon it, and to this upright stake the Latin name crux was originally more strictly applicable. But very generally, a crosspiece, patibulum, was added to the stake, to which the arms of the criminal were tied or to which his hands were nailed. When the crosspiece was fastened at right angles below the summit of the upright stake, the cross was called crus missa. When the crosspiece was fastened at right angles across the top of the upright stake, the cross crus commissa. And when it is formed of two beams crossing one another obliquely, it was crus decussata. There was often a projection on which the body rested as on a seat. The cross was erected without the gates of towns, but in places of frequent resort. The person crucified often lived for days upon the cross. The death of Christ by crucifixion led Christians to regard the cross with peculiar feelings of reverence, and to make use of the sign of the cross as a holy and distinguishing sign. The custom of crossing oneself in honor and commemoration of Christ can be traced back to the 3rd century. It was customary, probably from apostolic times, for the Christians to pray with extended arms, and Justin Martyr and Origen explain this attitude as representing that of Christ on the cross. In this manner, Christians are represented in the early paintings in the catacombs as praying. The Emperor Constantine, after obtaining the victory over Maxentius through the influence, as he believed, of the sign of the cross, caused crosses to be set up in public places and upon public buildings. But the so-called cross of Constantine, or labarum, was not really a cross, but a circle containing the XPI, the first three letters of the name of Christ in Greek, and was merely an adaptation of the symbol of the Gaulish solar deity Sigeidos. I don't speak French, which consisted of a wheel of 6 spokes and sometimes of 4, or sometimes of 4. After the invention of the cross, or finding of the alleged true cross of Christ in Jerusalem, which was supposed to have taken place in a search made on Calvary by the Empress Helena in 326 AD, a surprising quantity of the relics of the cross were distributed through all parts of Christendom. When a portion of the cross was given to Saint Radegund by Justin II, Emperor of the East, and she desired to have the relic received with honor into the city of Poitiers, the Bishop Merovius peremptorily, that just sounds, I don't know, refused to allow it. She was obliged to appeal to King Sigebert, and he ordered the Archbishop of Tours to receive the relic. Merovius left the town rather than countenance what he regarded as a superstitious act. For this occasion, Venantius Fortunatus wrote the famous hymn Vexilia Regis, and it was first sung on the introduction of the relic processionally into Poitiers, circa 580. Various other protests were made against the extension of the worship of the relics, but in vain. The sign of the cross is made not only by Roman Catholics, but by the members of the Eastern Church also, by the Western from left to right, by the Eastern from right to left. It is admitted by the Lutherans as a commemorative sign of atoning death of Christ, but by many Protestants is rejected as a human invention in worship and as tending to superstition. It was very generously used during the Middle Ages and still is among the less enlightened peasantry in some Roman Catholic countries as a sort of charm or as affording some security, like an amulet, against all evil, and particularly against evil spirits and witchcraft. The festival of the Invention of the Cross is celebrated on the 3rd day of May. That of the Elevation of the Cross commemorates the re-erecting of the cross at Jerusalem by the Emperor Heraclius in 628, after it had been carried away by the Persians. See Legends of the Holy Rood, edited by Richard Morris for the Early English Text Society in 1871, and The Legendary History of the Cross by Ashton and Baring Gould, 1887. I know I always say it, but I wish I had the books. The earliest mention of representations of the crucifixion are by two writers in the 6th century. Gregory of Tours relates that such a picture was in one of the churches of Narbonne and gave offense because it was nude. And the rhetorician Coricius says that in a church at Gaza was a representation of Christ crucified between two thieves. See crucifix. Wow. I mean, it's just crazy how it never existed, right? I mean, but here it is in this book so long ago. I digress. As neither of these writers remarks on the novelty of such representations, it may be supposed that they were not infrequent in the 6th century. Early crucifixes were in contradiction of the mention by Gregory, clothed to the feet. In the treasury of Monza are two such, one given by Gregory the Great in 599 to Adewald, son of Queen Theodolinda, and another of the 6th century with a Greek inscription. The use of the cross without a figure of Christ is much earlier. As already mentioned, it was employed as a sign made with the hand or by extension of the arms at an extremely early Christian epoch, but no crosses are found represented in the catacombs of Rome before the 5th century, excepting the so-called Cross of Constantine, which is not a cross, but a monogram. The symbol is found first in the beginning of the 4th century. It also took the form B. Then it became a plain cross. Nope, that's not it. E. A very complete list of all the representations of the cross in its various forms in the Roman catacombs and other Christian monuments of the first 5 centuries will be found under the heading Cruz in Krauss' Real Encyclopedia de Christian Arthur Muir from 1886. God, I wish I had that. Okay, make sure to come back. We're going to go to part 2.